I'm Michael Steele in for Joy Reid, and we begin tonight with the state of the race, a race that feels so dramatically different than it did a week ago. You know what that felt like, right? You couldn't script it any better for TV. That race, of course, is between Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris. The historical nature of the race was noted by none other than Michelle Obama, who joined former President Barack Obama to endorse Harris today.
I can't have this phone call without saying to my girl Kamala, I am proud of you. This is going to be historic.
Oh my goodness. Michelle, Barack, this means so much to me. I am looking forward to doing this with the two of you, Doug and I both, and getting out there, being on the road. But most of all, I just want to tell you the words you have spoken and the friendship that you have given over all these years mean more than I can express. So thank you both.
Nothing like an Obama endorsement to fuel that Democratic momentum. It's a momentum like nothing the party has seen since, well, Obama. It also means we could see a very different debate performance, something Donald Trump has said he's ready for.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I'd want to. I think it's important. I would be willing to do more than one debate, actually. As far as her as a candidate, I think it's probably similar. I noticed the polls are virtually identical. She's the same as Biden, but much more radical. She's a radical left person, and this country doesn't want a radical left person to destroy it. She's far more radical than he is. So I think she should be easier than Biden because he was slightly more mainstream, but not much.
Easier than Biden, he says? But now the Trump campaign says it will not commit to debating Harris until she's formally nominated, prompting accusations from Harris that Trump is backpedaling on the deal, posting on X, quote, "What happened to anytime, any place? Got an answer for that, Trump? What's he so afraid of?" Perhaps the fact that Harris can seize on her background as a prosecutor to forcefully make a case against Trump, maybe. There's another thing Trump should be very afraid of, and that's the polls showing Harris narrowing the gap. In the latest New York Times Siena College poll, Trump leads Harris 48% to 47%, well within the margin of error among likely voters in a head-to-head match. It is a marked difference and improvement from Democrats when compared to the same poll earlier in July that showed Biden behind by 6 percentage points following the debate. Still, Trump is giving off optics that he's the guy in charge. Lately, he's welcomed a series of foreign leaders at his doorstep, including Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban. Today, it was Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Netanyahu reportedly requested an in-person meeting with the former president while he was here visiting in the U.S. this week. Netanyahu spoke with Biden and Harris in separate White House meetings yesterday, which touched on Israel's right to self-defense and concerns about the war and humanitarian crisis in the Gaza Strip. Here's what Trump had to say about Vice President Harris's remarks following his meeting with Bibi.
No, I have no remarks. She's a radical left person. San Francisco, destroyed San Francisco. She's really a destroyer. She doesn't know how to build. And I think her remarks were disrespectful. They weren't very nice, pertaining to Israel. I actually don't know how a person who's Jewish can vote for her, but that's up to them. But she was certainly disrespectful to Israel, in my opinion.
Joining me now is Maria Teresa Comar, President and CEO of Voto Latino, and Tara Setmayer, co-founder and CEO of the Seneca Project and a former GOP communications director. Ladies, welcome. We have some fun unpacking this one tonight. So, Maria, let's start with you. When we look at, for example, the Trump September calendar, for all of the braggadocio that he has and that he's putting out there, he's got September 10th, the ABC News debate that's scheduled. September 18th, hush money trial sentencing. I think he's got some. I think he's got a few things to be concerned about here. How do you seize on this moment and look at it if you're Trump, and how how much do you appreciate the way the vice president is leaning into the moment?
So I think, first of all, Netanyahu could not look more comfortable in that conversation.
I know, right?
He's like, don't mention the curtains right yet. Right. You know, just like, he's like, he could be more uncomfortable. But this is what's really interesting is that because we just came out of focus groups yesterday, and one of the things that we learned was that the Latino community went from in August of 2020, in this same moment, Biden was at 50% among the Latino community. Mm-hmm. As of yesterday, in our focus groups, Kamala is starting at 67.
Wow.
We had folks that were saying 17% of Latinos before were saying, I'm going to vote third party. As of this week, it's less than 8%. The biggest challenge, though, for the Latino community, and I think for America, is that we like her, but we don't know her yet.
Right.
And so right now, these two candidates and their campaigns are in the battle of how do we define Kamala Harris? For the Democrats, it is a gift. It is a blank canvas, because one of the challenges that Hillary Clinton faced was decades of the other side
30
defining
years
her.
of people knowing who she was.
Well, and defining
her.
Without her. But Kamala doesn't have that. She doesn't have that. And that's one of the reasons why you're seeing Trump saying, oh, she's a radical leftist. You haven't seen her policies.
Right.
You actually don't know. And one of the things that we are seeing specifically, that if the votes were going to be today, it will be very close.
Right.
But Trump is not going to win any more voters.
Right.
His base was always going to come out.
to actually win more
to
voters.
To expand. Right. But I can tell you just anecdotally again, Voto Latino, before Sunday, we were registering 100 voters a day. Today, we registered over 8,100.
8,100.
8,100 in a day. We are literally investing close to, and it's a marketplace, right? I mean, at the end of the day, it's a marketplace. Do voters want what the Democrats are selling? Not only do they want it, but they're hungry. We can't keep up with the demand.
That is a very important point, Tara. When you look at where the Democrats were and where they are, and the difference that has evolved around the vice president and her ability to just pretty much hit the ground running. I mean, there was very little, sort of a hesitation moving into this moment once it became very clear where the president was going. And so what Maria is talking about is an important aspect of this, how voters are also moving in this moment towards the vice president. How are you seeing it? In fact, the work that you guys are doing at Seneca sort of stands up some of that energy in your recent ad that really is attracting a lot of these voters. Let's take a look at what you guys are doing.
From the 6 a.m. practice to the away game pickup, from her first goal to the state finals, from the big wins to the big lessons, we take care of all the little things. We do these little things so our daughters can achieve big things. We do all of this for their future. And this fall, that future is on the line.
That's a powerful ad, and I think it speaks a lot to how women have also moved into this space in such an important way that it has really thrown the Republicans back on their heels a bit.
Oh, it has. You can just see by the way that Donald Trump and his MAGA cohorts have just been flailing. What have they been doing all week, Michael? They've been calling Kamala Harris, to Teresa's point. They try to define her. Oh, she's a DEI hire. She's a liberal. She's the destroyer, the lion Kamala. I mean, Trump couldn't even come out with a new nickname for her. They were in such shock, and they're about to spend about $100 million. They're Trump's MAGA groups in the battleground states to try to define her in the next couple of weeks. So it's really important that all of this enthusiasm that we've seen in the last couple of days, I mean, it hasn't even been a week, and we've seen record-breaking fundraising. We've seen women galvanized and motivated. We've seen this incredible burst of energy where people are just looking at this and going, no, we don't want to go back there. I mean, that ad, that Olympics ad, I'm very proud of it. My co-founder, Michelle Kinney, came up with the concept and the idea that women do all the little things for their daughters. They do the little things for their families so that those daughters can grow up in a country in a safe place where they can do big things. Big things like I don't know, maybe run for president one day as a woman. And then but we have this threat, and it's MAGA, and it's Donald Trump, and it's J.D. Vance, and it's this regressive going back to a time where women were treated as second-class citizens. The end of that ad says we have one more thing to do, and that's to win for them, for our future generations. That's what this is about. It's what is the future vision that we want in this country. And it's clearly Donald Trump's vision is dark and regressive, and Kamala Harris represents a vision that is progressive in moving forward and positive and something to aspire to. And we're seeing that enthusiasm all over the place, from the financing, right, the fundraising,
right,
to now voter registration. This is I think going to be a spectacularly interesting race from now until November.
Well,